welcome back. This is still Ibrand Daybreak. Now let's head on to the next segment of the show today. Yes, newspaper review is the next thing we'll be dwelling on for the next couple of minutes. And joining us for this segment on the show today is none other than a public affairs analyst in the person of Laide Akao. Welcome to the show, Laide.
How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Laide. Welcome.
Okay, now let's start off with this one on the front pages of the Punch newspapers this morning. The screaming headline on the Punch is about the Petroleum Industry Act, and the headline says states tackle federal government today as FAAC meets NBA advises governors. The riders with this one will review the law at FAAC today and disclose our position. This is coming from Benue Commissioner, and the other rider you can see there, challenge Petroleum Industry Act in court. NBA Ozekome tells the state government. Let me take two more headlines from the Punch right now. At the base of the paper, you see this one that talks about the Federal Executive Council approving 658 million naira for soldier dogs education orders, and more money also to be approved there. And there's also another one about Oyo youths protests why WASSECE candidate killing, blame Amoteku. One more from the Punch this morning. At the top of the paper, you see the call for self-defense. ACF Middle Belt back Masari. Ohaneze flares Governor Sokapu faults arms ban.
And now we'll be moving on to the Daily Independent newspaper. The main headline there says, expect benefits of Petroleum Industry Act from 2023. This is coming from FIRS. Targets 10.104 trillion naira revenue in 2022. Says Twitter, Facebook coming into a tax net. To the left-hand side of the paper, we have court rejects AGF DSS plea to dismiss Sunday Igbo's suit. Says a restraining order still subsists. We are working to regulate social media. COVID-19, Osibanjo harps on needs for innovation, action in vaccine manufacturing. And at the bottom there, we have uncertainty, underinvestment in oil industry gone. Buhari, okay, steering committee on Petroleum Industry Act, and says host community will get real lasting benefit. Lots of other stories there on the newspaper, but I'm going to take this last one about flood hitting 32 states as Buhari chides governors for ignoring warning. More of this on page 30 of the Daily Independent newspaper.
Okay, now we'll move on to the business day, and the major headline on the business day talks about Lagos power market holding gains for Nigeria. That's if the federal government allows. That's the major one on the business day this morning. I'm moving on to the other ones on the business day. You see the one about Green Africa may not be Nigeria's cheapest airline. You can find more of this one on page 2 of the paper. Jamaica shows Nigeria how to retain its star athletes. Also on page 2 of the paper, you can find more about this one, the concerns retaining star athletes and national heroes.
And now to the Daily Trust. The main headline there says, doubts trail surrender of Boko Haram members. A repentant fighter could be deceptive. This is coming from traditional ruler. We're sure they are insurgents. We will not forgive them. IDPs residents. Experts call for cautious optimism. At the top of the paper there, we have bandits kill 7 Nigerian soldiers, 3 villages, abduct 17 others in Katsina. NNPC partners sign 50 MW Maiduguri Project Megawatt, that is, Maiduguri Power Project Pact, fear groups Zamfara communities as new armed group emerges. And now at the bottom of the paper, we have despite drop in inflation rate, prices of goods, foodstuff on the rise. And I'll take one last one down. Buhari to attend son's wedding as activities begin in Bichi today. And with that, we've come to the end of the newspaper review. We've gotten to find out what the papers, the dailies are saying. But one that caught my attention is The last one that I read out, despite drop in inflation prices of goods and foodstuff are on a steady rise. So, Ladi.
Well, there are many factors that could be responsible for that. First of all, everybody is aware of the insecurity in the northern part of the country. So, apparently, farming has dropped significantly in the north. Farming is now coming down south. And over time, south has almost forgotten farming. You just have a few people, large-scale commercial farmers in Ogun State, part of Oyo State, and stuff like that. But people, the rural people themselves in this part of Nigeria have almost forgotten farming. When people who do it in the north, they now face insecurity. So whatever is available now is like Nigeria is not utilizing its full capacity and potential in agriculture as we speak. And that one did not just happen. It has been happening in the past 3-4 years. Then another thing is middlemen, hoarding and stuff like that. That's another one. But all the blame goes more to the government. Because if government is actually concerned about the people, sincerity of purpose on the part of government is lacking. You hear of a lot of intervention schemes and things like that by the government, but the government doesn't monitor to the letter. So even if government says, okay, release so fund for so scheme or so thing, people in charge would so much manipulate it that, one, the money doesn't get to the farmer who should use the money in good time to start with, and even by the time it gets to the hands of the farmer, if, for instance, 100 naira, to make it simple for everyone to understand, if 100 naira should get to the hand of the farmer, some people somewhere would have milked the farmer of up to about 30-40 naira from the money. And is this money you expect that it pays back in full? Then look at other things, input like fertilizers and, so many factors. So sincerity of purpose on the part of the government, and government needs to be more serious. Because when you just look at statistics and books and you tell us inflation has dropped, it has to interpret to, that's inflation, on the table. For the common man especially, the common man who has, because all the indices the common man uses to know or interpret or understand whether inflation has dropped is how much does he buy his food, and if cost of food drops, it will affect every other thing. It will have a spiral effect. Because if you to sell another commodity apart from food, but the cost of food has increased, drastically, that it's too deep into your profit, into your pocket, it will now reflect it on what you sell. And it keeps going like that. Even if you're a commercial driver and ordinarily, let's say you spend like 300, 400 to feed. Now you spend like 700. You two will now look at it, because if you have a family of like maybe a wife, 4 children, and maybe you have 2 dependents, that means you'll be spending double more than you have always spent. And you have just one source of income. Because a lot of, and we are not even talking about people who don't have jobs at all. So government should, like Yorubas have a saying that if hunger is out of your problems, your problem is 50% solved. 50% solved. Because it's a person who is not hungry that could think of anything to do. Because that's, Yoruba still has another saying that it is after feeding that thinking comes. If you have not fed, or you have not fed properly, your next, all you'll be thinking is
how
just
to
food.
get your stomach.
And that one is not thinking, it is worry. You'll be worried. So it's only the person who doesn't worry about what to eat that could think, productively. So government needs to do more. Government needs to do more. Monitor all the policies they put in place. They have to monitor it to the letter. Nothing should be done on sentiment. If you give fund or support to farmers, let it be what you give them in Katsina, which is the state of the president. The same measure, the same approach is what applies in Delta State. So that somebody doesn't get his own facility in January and somebody is waiting till September. Because when this money comes, farming is in season. That is one. And again, if there are things that Nigeria is not sufficient in, let's be realistic. You have to allow the importation of such items Because now that we have security challenges in the north, if there's a particular product that we depend on that part of the country to get, we don't have it any longer. Then, if we have to resort to import, let's do. While we face the insecurity challenge, or else you are compounding the problem. You get my point? Because where there's relative security and relative peace, when people are hungry, they too, at a point, they will unleash on the society.
Thank you so
because
much.
A hungry man is an angry man.
Thank you so much, Lydia.
Well put. Thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, so we'll go on a break right now, and when we get back from it, we'll go into the main discourse for the day. Don't go anywhere.